And this is a quick recap of a game I played at the Parma Chess Club against Charlie Rolko, rated 1734 this game, and I was rated 1667. So, Charlie is an interesting player to face because he plays everything, although I get the feeling he's not well versed on any one opening, but he can kind of find his way through any opening. And he's been typically playing e4 against me. And then when I play e5, he's been going with d4, the center game. And I'll go ahead and put this on the board real quick. And I'm pretty sure I take, and he's been going with the Danish Gambit, which I've been declining with d5, the Sorensen defense. And we've had some interesting games, but I've been pretty comfortable with the black pieces. So in this game, he decided to go with d4, showing his versatility. And well, this is fine because this goes into what I refer to as my old repertoire. And this is the one quarter of my repertoire that has stayed the same for the last 4 years. So I played knight f6, he went c4, and I went c5. And now I'm hoping for a Benko Gambit. And the interesting part of this part of the game is that Charlie and I have briefly talked about the Benko Gambit. We both admitted that well, admitted, um, we both were kind of happy that we're both fans of the Benko Gambit. Let me put it that way. We both own books on the Gambit. So I was like, well, I'm going to play it and I'll test my knowledge versus knowledge. So, okay, he pushed forward. I play b5. This is the Benko Gambit. And he took once. And I really thought he wouldn't take twice. And I was correct. After a6, offering a pawn, he played e3. And this I know to be the Benko half accepted modern defense. And it probably is one of the most testing lines against the Benko Gambit, in my opinion. But I also know that from watching International Master John Bartholomew's videos. So, but White has an interesting plan here. And I wasn't sure if Charlie would go for that plan or not. Turns out he did not. And I'm not going to share it in the video because he'll probably watch it. Okay, so I played g6. So I'm always willing to go into the fully accepted stuff. So I went ahead and played g6. And he went knight f3. And this is the first move that kind of surprised me in the game. I was expecting knight c3. This is the normal move and probably the only one I've faced in this line, but he played knight f3. This move is, well, it's fine. It's a little flexible though, because he could play knight c3 next. And the thing is, after e3, this bishop is defending the pawn. So if I do take back, the bishop can take on b5. And after queen a5 check, then he can play knight c3. That's totally fine. So, okay. I went bishop g7. He went bishop e2. So, I actually thought this might be the first weird move of the game. And I see now that the computer agrees. Knight c3 is the main move. Bishop e2, I was kind of waiting for him to move his bishop, to be honest, because I want to take here. And now if he takes, he loses a tempo at least, you know? So that was the idea. I see the computer gives a takes b5, and that is what I played. And now he took. Here I played bishop a6. And I'm going to criticize myself a little bit in this part of the game because this is sort of a mechanical move. This is the normal move in the Benko Gambit. You want to exchange light square bishops. I thought he can't really avoid it. If he tries to move his bishop away, then he won't be castling anytime soon. So I thought bishop a6 was forcing. It's true, but he can simply take. Instead, queen a5 check, the computer says, is a move here. I find this interesting. I saw queen a5 check and I saw knight c3. And I thought bishop d2 is coming next. I'm going to have to move my queen again. So maybe this isn't worth it. But I should have noticed the fact that after knight c3, the knight is pinned. And so, well, when a piece is pinned, we should look at what it's guarding and ask if can we attack it. Well, he's guarding this pawn and he's guarding the e4 square. This pawn is actually guarded by the queen, so I'm not going to play knight takes and blunder my knight. That would be silly. But knight e4, the computer says, is the best move. And I was thinking, well, what if bishop d2? Well, this would actually lose the game now, though, because I could actually take the knight, and it's a simple remove the defender tactic. After he takes back, I take the bishop. And white is winning. Actually, am I, though? Now that I'm looking at this, doesn't he have takes? Maybe I have to take first. Yeah. Okay. But this is going to be working. So this is check. Takes, take the bishop. Black won. I mean, white could probably go ahead and resign. So for that reason, after queen e5 check, knight c3, and knight e4, white has to play the sneaky move, rook b1. It's the only move, by the way. So if Charlie doesn't watch this video and we go into this again, which we won't because he mixes things up, now I can't really go for the same trick because if I take the knight, he takes here, and guess what? The bishop's defended by the rook. So anyway, I wanted to share that because I thought it was pretty interesting. But in the move, I went bishop a6. So let's continue. He took. Now I'm going to sip the remainder of my glass of wine. And now knight takes a6. Now, for a long time, I thought the knight looked funny on this square, but having played the Benko for 4 years, I now understand that this knight is quite good here. I might jump into the square, that is true, and a lot of people will play a3 to stop that, but actually I want to play knight c5. And you're going to say, well, Stacia, there's a pawn there. Well, I'm not going to play it immediately, but a lot of times what you'll do is play knight c4, knight c5, and knight d3. And this is a common maneuver. Okay, so a3, stopping knight b4, which I wasn't going to play anyway. So I actually was happy to see this. And now castles, castles, e6, a normal move, and rook here. Okay, now I want to step back for a second. d6 is another one of those mechanical moves that I make. And in G30, mechanical moves are maybe almost required. If I spend 5 minutes deciding if I should play d6 or try to find something more exact, like the computer's giving me right now, then what often will happen is I'll be like, I think c4 is good here. And I'll think about it, and I'll think about it for 5 minutes, and then I'll go, oh, it's too risky, and I'll play bishop d6. Difference being, I lost 5 minutes on my clock. So don't do that. So I played d6, but now is the time to decide if c4 was a real move. Like I said, this plan is kind of good. I might even hop in here, I don't know. Computer gives c4 as the top move. So if I was white, what would I do to punish this? I would definitely play knight c3. Okay, computer gives it as the top choice. Now I'm going to turn the engine off. Let's try to figure out what's going on here. I'd definitely be thinking about this. Would this do anything? I think it kind of does. I would attack the bishop, and that's going to sound weird, but my dark square bishop is probably my best piece. And if I remove white's bishop for a knight, then this bishop is even more powerful because it's unopposed on the dark squares. So that is why I think maybe coming into d3 is a real thing. And if he tries to move away, I take the pawn. With tempo, by the way. So yeah, I can see knight c5 being a move. Let's see. It's tied for first with e6. E6. My old friend. This is a move that it's more of a Benoni-ish type move, but it's possible here. I'm not going to play that, so let's go with knight c5. And now the computer gives knight d2 and queen e2. I think both moves are intended to target this pawn. So knight e2, I was thinking I would jump in here. So if I jump in here, computer likes knight e1. Wow, I think I'd take the bishop. Okay, white's still doing fine here. And now my best option is e6. Okay, but I think this is interesting. I think c4, I'm not going to play that for now. It might be the best move, but it's way more complicated and risky. Risky is the word I want to use. Okay. So let's continue. I play d6, rook e1. Now the computer actually likes knight b4. I didn't play this move, but I think it's interesting. We're utilizing the pin down the a file. And maybe I have threats. No, not aside from this. I want to take this pawn. e4, I would assume, is a move. And then I can play c4. Wow. Chess is hard. Okay. Knight c3. And I played the normal move. Rook f to b8. And I was pretty happy with my position. So in the Benko Gambit, you want your bishop on a very nice, strong diagonal. And you want your rooks lined up on the files. And you want your queen participating. And you want to think about this move, followed by knight c5. And you want to think about pivoting your other knight into g4 to open up the bishop, but also why? Because white is going to try e4, e5. And if you pivot your knight into e5, it's hard to play e5. So there you go. That was my idea. And so all of this feels like like a Benko Gambit fully accepted. He went rook b1. And now this is the first moment where I got to decide my middle game plan. So I have pretty much a dream Benko position, almost a dream. Let's call it a good Benko position. And I have to decide how to proceed. The plans I considered during the game were knight d7, queen b6. Often this is a plan occupying the b3 square, usually with a rook though. c4 and knight g4. And I went with, I think, knight g4. Let's see. Oh, I played c4. Computer didn't like this so much, which is interesting because it just wanted c4 all this time. But I think my plan's kind of simple. I'm going to do this kind of thing. I still have this in reserve. I still have this in reserve. And I still have this in reserve. All right, so he went e4. So now I thought it's time to pivot into the e5 square. So I went here. It's also nice because it comes with tempo. Bishop e3. And now, like I said, in the Benko Gambit, If I can snag this dark square bishop, I'm usually going to do that, and it usually pays off. So I took it, rook takes e3. Okay, knight c5, a natural move, and now this move. Yeah, okay, I'm going to turn off the engine for a second because it started yelling at me when knight e1 was played, which means that we have stuff. So let's see if we can decipher what's going on here. Okay, he played this move, which I honestly thought was the best move at the time, but I must have missed something. The idea is to stop me from coming into d3. If I come in now, they'll simply take, and I lose my pawn, and yeah, I don't know. This is better for white, I would guess, and I'll check with the engine. Yeah, quite a bit better. So, yeah, don't give up a pawn for no reason, right? But instead, here, I was looking at tactics and I couldn't quite make them work. So, the thing is, this rook is across from my two pieces on the b file, and it's guarded by a knight, and it's guarded by a queen. Now, if the knight were eliminated, which can be done by bishop takes knight, then this pawn becomes pinned. So if I were to take, and he takes here, I reasoned that this would be winning for me, right? So the problem is he can take with the rook. And this is as far as I got, and I thought, I don't think I like this. But now there's this move. It undefended the pawn. So I missed this idea, which makes me kind of sad. This is really powerful. I'm just noticing it's hitting here and here. Yeah, I think he'd have to play there. But I think I like black here because I won the e-pawn. And now this is weak. This is probably winning. I'll check with the engine. Yeah, minus 1.9. So wow. Well, I'm going to tell you as a player who tries to improve, I think a good question in this variation is why did I miss this? Okay, so after knight e1, I saw bishop takes, but I saw rook takes, and I failed to see knight takes. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't know if other people think about this or not, but I have been thinking about it a lot. And that's that I'm going to start practicing positions where I identify candidate moves after forcing moves. What I mean by that is bishop takes knight is a forcing move, rook takes is a forcing move, and in positions without moving the pieces, I'm going to now identify all my checks and captures because this is a capture. Knight takes e4. And I think if I had looked at it, I would have realized that the rook was misplaced. The other thing I could do or think about is changing the move order and taking here first. But I don't think that works because the knight is guarding it itself. So, okay, sorry for that little excursion, which I tend to do. So for that reason, I went with a different plan, which is a blunder, okay, because this is a winning plan. The other thing is, do I really want to give up my dark square bishop? Well, for a full pawn, a central pawn, yes, I do, is the answer. So let's continue. I went rook a7, and because I failed to find the correct plan, I came up with this idea to triple on the b file. But I will tell you that black is still doing fine here. He went queen c2, and this is where Charlie, he came up with a sneaky plan that I missed. Okay, he decided that my pawn is weak, and he's going to try to collect it. And I think that's an excellent idea. And I should have at least seen that plan and then proceeded with dynamic play, but calculated it so that the dynamic play would never allow it to happen. Instead, I just played. But it turned out okay, as you'll see. Okay. So he went knight d1, and I almost scoffed at this move because it's like, what are you doing? Your knights are on the back rank. Like, are you crazy? But he has a point. I mean, he's defending the b pawn and saying, okay, what are you going to do? I'm defending everything. And now your clock is ticking and you have to break through. So, okay. I played queen a6. Did I really play that? Oh, yeah, I have to defend my pawn. So I did that. He went rook f2. Or I'm sorry, rook e2. And now I brought my rook in. Now, why did he do this? Because I remember during the game I knew. Actually, now I don't know. Computer wants knight f3. Oh, he's defending the pawn. Okay. So I played rook in. And like I said, this is a normal Benko thing, I've realized now, that you occupy the b3 square with something. It could be a queen, a rook, or a knight. I've seen rook the most. But I was pretty happy to get this in, blockading the b2 pawn. And he played knight e3. And here, well, here I panicked at first because he's attacking my pawn and there's no defense. so I have to find something else besides defending the pawn. And well, I found the move rook a4, which I think is a good move. Although the computer is showing me a better move now. Rook takes b2, and I'm going to turn the engine off. Wow. What is happening here? Rook takes b2. Now, the reason I didn't play this is because it looks like I can't. So what is going on here? If he takes, do I take back? I mean, he's threatening this. Yes. And I can take on e4, allow this, and play bishop f7. Wow. That's my guess. I'm going to turn the engine on. Oh my gosh. I'm an idiot. You guys are probably laughing at me. How about take the queen? So, wow. I didn't know I could take here. But knight e3 undefends the b pawn. I thought it was defended enough still. It is. Isn't it? How about this? Takes. Oh. It's a move order thing. It's a move order thing. This rook is defending, but a simple count of defenders isn't enough. The queen has to recapture before the rook. That is why this is possible. And that's why it wins. Wow. I missed that idea. And, well, I also got distracted by my own move, which I was pretty excited about. I found the move knight a4. My idea was that you can't really take here anymore because I will play, what was it? Am I right? Let me see. This happens, right? Why am I not seeing it? Oh, yeah, my queen's defending. So if knight takes, I was planning queen takes. Wasn't something else defending this? I'm so confused right now. Oh, yeah, I was planning if knight takes, I was planning this straight away. Instead, he played queen takes. This is why I'm confused, because it's not what I remembered. Queen takes, knight takes, and I planned this move. Knight to c3. And now he cannot take because the pawn is pinned. I'll take the rook. And otherwise, he's forked. So, yeah, this actually did happen in the game, and this is winning. So let's go back for a second. So I was really lucky, though, that this knight a4 resource was here, and that the rook takes b2 resources here, and that c3 was here. And c3 is funny because he told me after the game that he was pretty sure c3 was crushing. So let's take a look at why. It's supported by my bishop, and now, gosh, it attacks this again. So I'm going to win this, followed by this, followed by his queenside collapses. So I understand that now. Okay, let's follow the computer line. It says knight d1 here. I'd take e5. e5? Okay, well, I would take it. Rook e3. Gosh. And now it wants bishop f6 for some reason. Bishop f6. Oh, I think I get it. Stopping this move followed by this. Okay, knight f3. Yeah, now I can take the a pawn. Yeah, I have to admit, this looks, it just looks like black's winning on the queen side. Okay. So I think we've found, we've covered everything in this game, so I'm going to wrap this up. So I found knight c3, which was nice. This is probably one of my better moves, to be honest. He took, I took the rook. And from here, I did win this pawn. The knight is pinned. He has to defend it. And I traded everything thinking that I have a rook versus a knight, and I can probably collect this pawn. And if not, maybe I can stir up trouble on the queen side, or king side rather. And I played here, and I think now he has to bring his king up. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have this part of the game written down, but in my recollection, he did not have his king. He did not have his king on one of these squares next, which he should, because if he does not, I play rook a4, and now I'm attacking the defender of the pawn. He has to move, and I take. So this is winning now. Instead, he might have had a chance at a draw if his king had proceeded up here, because now after rook a4, he can play king c3, and the knight is defended, and he's threatening this. So he would have counterplay, basically, which he lacked during the game. I just had to watch out for forks, and I did take a point on this one. So I hope you enjoyed the game, and as per usual, we're going to fly through the game now and just look at critical moments. I want to ask myself, what can I do better for next time? Okay, so it was a Benko Gambit half accepted. He played this move, which I didn't know, knight f3. And I correctly took the pawn. Oh, and right here, queen a5 check was the move, because after knight c3, I have knight e4. So that is something I do want to remember. But instead of that, I went bishop a6, which is a mechanical move. And we played normally, and I got my normal Benko pressure, and I decided on a fairly good plan. Turns out c4 is not something the computer likes, but it is one of the main plans, and it did turn out good in this game. I also have knight g4, and the computer liked knight d2 the best. Okay, so I went here, and I got the dark square bishop. And I would like to point out that since I took that dark square bishop, these winning tactics that the computer is showing us at the end, they all have to do with my bishop attacking a dark square. Just saying. Okay, I defended my pawn, got my rook in. Yeah, and well, for myself, note to self, I should notice his sneaky plan to win my pawn. So that is something I will keep in mind for the future. Although I probably had b3. I actually had a lot of winning moves. I had b3, I had rook takes, and I had knight a4. All of these moves win, and that's kind of the point of the Benko Gambit, right? Is to get all this dynamic play that sort of, what's the word? It sort of funnels into a winning point in the game like this. So I got to play knight c3, which I really enjoyed, and then had a nice conversion. So if you have any questions or any pointers, I accept both. Please leave them in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed the game. Thank you for watching, and this is Stacia out. I'll be back with more chess.